The
is
FBI is a premier law enforcement
He loves the
institution for
FBI.
our country, and we
And
should
he thinks they're
seek
great.
to enhance it and improve it, but not to slash and trash it, which is what KASH Patel seems to want to do. A lot has been mentioned about what KASH Patel refused to answer. But I want to go to what he very clearly did answer, which is he committed, in response to my question, that there would be no retribution against any FBI agent, that there would be no mass firing, and no purging of leadership. And now we have
no purging of leadership.
Reliable information from whistleblowers submitted in a letter by Senator Durbin to the chairman that in fact he has been covertly and personally directing a purge of senior leadership and other non-political agents simply because they were assigned to investigate criminal wrongdoing. In direct contradiction of the commitments he made to us. Not just to me, it was my question, but to
Let me know in the comments if you trust the FBI.
And that is one of the reasons
Do you think
why
they are
I have
doing the work of the people for the people? Let me know.
Give him a chance to explain that kind of contradiction. What we're left with is a record that shows that he, in effect, wants to turn the FBI into a sycophantic goon squad.
Sycophantic goon squad, that's what they already are.
Political opposition.
That's what they already do.
And enemies he is.
That's what they do.
Of course, he calls them government gangsters.
Yeah, hello.
An enemies list. But
they are government gangsters.
Warn members of this committee who are critical of KASH Patel, we will be on that list. And he has the power to investigate anyone who is critical of him.
Wow.
He said there should be a manhunt.
Hypocrite much? Can you even with this?
He's telegraphed very clearly how he would use the FBI. And the more so if he is independent of the White House.
What do you guys think about this?
The Department of Justice, as clearly he envisions his
this
role
was
to be.
The Biden White House
an
in a nutshell.
Unguided missile against
oh my God, Blumenthal, listen to yourself.
Our justice system.
I know you can't hear him over my yapping, but I'm angry.
The work of the FBI is essential to judgment and integrity. KASH Patel lacks those two key qualities.
Right. It's opposite day with Blumenthal.
Conspiracy theories. He agrees with, quote, a lot of what QAnon says. He engages in election denialism.
Hi, Laura.
Refusing to say President Biden won the 2020 election.
President Biden did not win the 2020 election.
The January 6th insurrection.
You know what? Ooh, Blumenthal needs to go to jail. He's scared.
The January 6th rioters, calling them political prisoners. Even the rioters who attacked Capitol Police. He produced a song with the so-called J6.
Oh my God, with the song again. Freaking out. Blumenthal is freaking out.
In prison for having attacked police officers. He tried to deny that he had produced the song at his nomination hearing in response to my question, saying, quote, I didn't have anything to do with the recording, end quote. But in response to my questions for the record, he acknowledged that he is one of the producers of the song. He couldn't have denied it because he boasted about it.
Oh my God, shut up.
Podcast. How could he have nothing to do with the recording if he's one of the producers? Let's just be very direct.
All right, Blumenthal, moving right along.
He was less than truthful.
Yeah, you were less than truthful
because he knew everyone. Amplifying and glorifying the cause of violent criminals who attack police. would be an embarrassing obstacle.
You mean political prisoners, which is what the J6ers are and were.
Only one of the ways.
Political prisoners.
That he experienced.
Sorry, I have to turn this down. Listening to Blumenthal makes me so angry and so disgusted. Hi, Shirley. Yeah, Laura, so sick of this BS. Blumenthal is a swamp creature. He is despicable. I mean, anybody who starts squawking about, say that the 2020 election was free and fair. That's like right there. You call yourself out when you do stuff like that. No, it wasn't free and fair. None of our elections have ever been free and fair, but that was probably the least free and fair election that ever was.
Worthy of glorification.
So annoying. How you doing, Shirley? We are currently driving up the A1A from South Florida, from Fort Lauderdale. We are currently going through the little town of, I think it's Pompano. I think.
This is only one of the ways that he may well seek retribution against his opponents. And going
yes, Pompano Beach.
Political enemies is clearly.
So we'll be driving through some delightful little beach towns. People take I-95 thinking that's the way to go. It's fast, it's straight shot. But then you miss all of the charming little beach towns along the way. And it's such a wonderful drive. You can even see the ocean. It's almost like you're on a cruise ship. So let's have a good time. Well, we listen to people who have been ripping off our country for the past 50 years, try to defend themselves, and scared to death of Kash Patel because they are criminals. The ocean is right there, by the way, right there. But you can't see it.
In the Department of Justice is a priority.
Pompano is lovely. All right, I'll turn it up if you want to hear what this criminal is saying.
Out for himself.
Kash Patel is out for himself.
Putting other people's lives in danger.
Yeah.
Whistleblowers have said that Kash Patel broke protocol during a hostage rescue mission, leaking details to the press before the hostages
were saved leaker too, huh?
Custody. And during a different hostage rescue mission, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Kash Patel lied about receiving permission from the Nigerian government to enter their airspace. This kind of carelessness could have caused those Navy SEAL hostage rescuers to be shot down. He is not to be trusted.
Oh, were they shot down?
The nation's most important.
I don't recall that they were.
Secrets, or with the most important law enforcement agency of our nation.
Sounds like Blumenthal is reading this. I wonder who wrote it for him.
Kash Patel pled the fifth in a case about Donald Trump's handling of classified documents. He's entitled to plead the Fifth Amendment. He eventually testified after prosecutors granted him limited immunity. He's not entitled to deny us the truth of what he told the grand jury as a part of this confirmation proceeding.
So what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments. Do you trust the FBI?
Physical to tell us what he told the grand jury. We all know.
Do you think Kash Patel will make a good FBI director?
That grand jury witnesses are told you can talk about it if you wish. Sometimes they're discouraged from talking about their testimony, but they have the legal right to do so. He had the legal right to tell us about his testimony, but he refused to do it, and he aided us only marginally in seeking that grand jury testimony, which I still feel we need to see, along with the second volume of the Jack Smith report. I want to close by saying that we have a pretty good idea of what the outcome will be today. And I am call that
Laura says, hell
our
no,
public
they all
policy
have to go,
Christian from
FBI.
so publicly
Melody
hostile
does not trust them
to the
either.
agency,
She
its
likes
people,
Patel.
its goals, its mission that he
Laura
intends
says Kash Patel
to
will
lead.
be investigating
We have a
the
responsibility
corrupt
here.
criminals and what they're afraid
Willful
of because
ignorance
their health,
and support
their
of Kash
heads are
Patel
gonna roll, literally.
will turn
Look
the
at the
FBI
cool
potentially
Corvette in front of
into
me.
a
Ooh la la.
sycophantic goon
We see
squad
very nice
ready
cars
to
here in
crush
South Florida.
political opposition instead of
I'm
the
sorry. I gotta turn him
independent
down. He makes
law
me sick.
enforcement
Anyway,
that
you guys are gonna love where we are right now. We're
deserve.
going to go over the
These votes will
I believe Hillsborough
on
Bridge,
Republican power.
and there's an inlet here, and
Come back
we will be able to see it out of this window. You can say hi to Muffin Stuffin is here with me as my co-pilot. She doesn't even need a seatbelt anymore. I don't have to worry about her. She's not going to get hot. She's not going to have any discomfort whatsoever in the car. So that's great. Hey, Christian boy. All the duckies managed to go back on the grass, and they're with their mama. They're fine for now till they go back in the pool, which they will. They will go back in the pool. But now we know how to get them out.
Thank you, Mr.
Anyway,
Chairman,
I won't be
and
there.
Thank you for the time today to speak
I'm
in
going
favor
to
of Kash
the West Coast.
Patel. As I've listened to my Democratic
Melody.
colleagues in their comments this morning, you can hear the anger and the
No,
displeasure
I love this lady.
with having Kash Patel before us. But I think it's important to realize why Kash Patel is there and why President Trump chose to nominate.
Oh, what happened?
The American people are sick and tired of access, two
Sorry,
tiers
guys.
of treatment, and 2 tiers of justice. And during the Biden years, this was writ large in the actions of the DOJ and the FBI. We have all seen it. And while my colleagues may be upset for today, I think it's important to note that they sat silently while you had parents and people of faith and so many that were being confronted, and this happened over and over and over. So I know they're trying to stall and obstruct,
Yep.
but it is important to note that the American people on November 5th voted to see change. They want transparency and accountability. They want the end of 2 tiers of justice.
That's right.
And they want to restore faith in our American institutions. Now, Pam Bundy, who is our Attorney General, has been mentioned several times this morning. She is going about aggressively restoring confidence and sending that message that the rule of law matters. The rule of law matters. And there is an expectation that people will abide by the rule of law. And Kash Patel will work with her in restoring that confidence, that rule of law, rooting out the 2-tier system of justice that the American people have witnessed. Now, when Mr. Patel was before us, before I started my questioning, I asked him a question that came from listening to my Democratic colleagues as they were questioning him. And it was, why do the Democrats fear him? Why do they fear him? And I think the answer is so very apparent.
Yep.
They fear him because, yes, indeed, he is out of the box. They fear him because of what he knows about Russia collusion, what he knows about some of the activity that has taken place. And they fear him because he is going to return the FBI to its core mission. investigating violent crimes, and keeping our nation safe. Now, I'm pleased that he's going to focus on violent crime. We know that under President Trump, violent crime was down 17%. This is important to us in Tennessee. In Memphis, we have had quite an issue with violent crime, much of it caused by a lack of attention to prosecuting
Communism
some
homes.
of these gang members. There is a Soros-backed DA in Memphis that will not push these cases through. But violent crime under Joe Biden was up 43% in his first year. It is imperative that the FBI go back to investigating these crimes and go back to the Trump policy of investigating and prosecuting these criminals and bringing that transparency back to the justice system. So I'm so pleased that we're moving forward with him today. I'm also pleased, Mr. Chairman, that he is going to work with me to make certain we know who all was involved with Jeffrey Epstein in building out this international sex trafficking ring. This is information we have sought. It is information we have not been able to get. And as the next FBI director, I have no doubt that he is going to work with us to end this scourge of human and sex trafficking in the United States. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think the American people were up in arms about purging the Department of Justice.
Oh no,
or
it's
the
Mazie
FBI. I don't
Hirono.
think they
Get
were up
ready,
in
get
arms
ready
wanting
for
a stop
get ready
to
for some outrageous
overreach to
BS
federal
coming at
grants
you
to
hard.
states. I don't think they were up in arms calling for the NIH to take action that will result in the halting of medical research. No, what they were up in arms was, let's lower the price of food, milk, bread. They're still waiting. So here we are, Mr. Chairman, talking about the nomination of KASH Patel. This man has so many red flags about why it is completely inappropriate to have him as the head of one of our most important law enforcement agencies that it makes your head spin. One thing is very clear about KASH Patel. He has 100% loyalty to Trump. That is the most critical thing for President Trump. We are at a crisis point. And this committee, if it plans to conduct
She's
any
scared.
oversight,
She's super,
they must
super
do so now.
scared.
And here's what's happening at the FBI. Dozens of senior career FBI and DOJ employees have been purged. More to come. 5,000 names of agents and personnel who worked on January 6 matters. Their names are there. What is supposed to happen to these people? I don't think they're going to get commended for their work on January 6th. So hundreds or thousands of line prosecutors and FBI special agents and analysts may be purged. Make no mistake, our nation is under constant threat, both foreign and domestic. And purging hardworking and dedicated civil servants does nothing to make us safe. So what's happening
Laura.
with the FBI and DOJ is they've turned inward. Rather than focusing on potential attacks, hacks, or violent criminal enterprises, we have a DOJ and FBI that has been turned inward on themselves. Attorney General Bondi's announcement to weaponize in creating a weaponization working group last week only continues this trend. Through this working group, she is doing what she told us she would not do. And that is, we asked her, are you going to start investigating the investigators? Prosecuting the prosecutors?
Oh no, super
what
scared.
What is this weaponization working group supposed to be doing?
Ooh,
but investigating the investigators and prosecuting the prosecutors, turning.
We're going down
inward
Billionaire
on
Row,
itself
by the
rather
way.
than protecting this country from external dangers. I fear what a DOJ and FBI focused inward on themselves means for the safety and security of our nation. Not much. Which brings me to Mr. Patel. He is not the man to answer the many challenges of the moment. Mr. Patel spent his nomination hearing avoiding every hard question. I asked him if he would investigate people on his 60-person deep state list. He would not say no. Mr. Chairman, we are sitting here continuing to point out all the red flags on this person. We Democrats are going to continue to raise the red flags on this person, and at some point, I'm hoping that maybe we'll come to a have you no decency moment from my Republican colleagues.
Have you no decency?
Continuing, I asked him if he
Oh, that's rich coming from you,
from
Maisie.
selling supplements to detox the COVID-19 vaccines. He did not answer. I asked him if Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He would not answer.
Oh, he wouldn't
He
answer
claimed
that
to know
one.
an anti-Semitic extremist named Stu Peters.
Stu Peters.
Despite appearing 8 times on his podcast. See, the fact
Wow,
that he doesn't
Maisie's
even answer,
super
remember,
scared.
it makes me think that he thinks coming before this committee under oath is something that he could just ignore with no consequences. And apparently that is the road we're on. And he tried to claim no involvement with the January 6th choir despite promoting them and hawking their merchandise for
Yeah,
years.
they hated that
And he was
January
unwilling
6th
to provide
choir.
any details about his
And
grand
oh
jury
man, that was a big problem.
testimony he was compelled to give after taking the fifth. People who take the fifth are using it to protect themselves from self-incrimination. Of course, Mr. Patel has the same
Wow.
right as any American to plead the fifth, but we have an equal right to ask him, as the nominee for FBI director, no less, why he did so, and to learn what he ultimately testified. The one thing Mr. Patel did
They
testify
tell you
to
exactly what they
in
have done.
response to a question from Senator
It's
Booker.
opposite day in the Senate.
Thanks Senator Booker for asking his question about whether he was, quote,
That's right,
aware
Melody.
of any plans
What
or
goes around comes
discussions
around.
to punish FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations, and was whether he said he was not aware of that, but we note that in fact he had an awareness, and in fact he's proceeding to purge the FBI. He's not even the director. I join my colleagues in once again calling for us to actually get the answers from Mr. Patel. The American people deserve to know where he's coming from. This is a person who's going to use the FBI for his own purposes. He will abuse his power in the FBI, and
She seems to have trouble getting it out.
That, we will regret
She
the day
sounds
that we
flustered.
voted for him. We should be regretting it right at this moment, and we should be calling him back so that the American people can find out what it is that this man plans to do, as he intends to very clearly abuse his power at the FBI.
Oh, very clearly. Because nobody would abuse their power with the FBI. Oh, no.
That is his biggest
We
qualification.
all trust the
FBI
FBI. They
Which is
do
not
TV
much.
shows about it every day
Mr. Chairman.
so that we love them. And we think they are our guardians.
Just so everybody knows, we're planning to vote at 11, and they're going to hold. They said they'd hold the vote open, at least for me. So I assume that's everybody, so that you can all be here. So I don't know whether it's after Moody gets done or Booker gets done. But if we're all here, I don't want to interrupt somebody's speech. But so if you want to vote a little bit earlier, or just say, or let me interrupt you, whatever the case might be, just think about that. Go ahead, Senator Moody.
Yes, Chair, thank you so much. And I had planned to come
We're about to
today
go
and
into
vote
Deerfield
in support
Beach.
of the nominee, but I feel it incumbent upon me, as I've heard speaker after speaker talk about and presume to speak for the rank and file FBI agents across this nation, as someone who has worked hand in hand as a federal prosecutor myself, as someone who has been a state attorney general, and had to work with and then ultimately sue the FBI when they refused to work with us on the second assassination attempt. And as someone who has married a rank and file federal agent and witnessed firsthand how they have taken what we have seen over the last 4 years, I think it's incumbent upon me to say no one here, including myself, can speak for the rank and file FBI, but what I can say is watching what has happened over the last 4 years and watching the legal system being used to go after political adversaries.
That's right, weaponized.
The rank and file want to get back to doing their jobs of going after multi-jurisdictional criminals,
Yeah.
of working hand in hand with state and law enforcement, of bringing to bear the promise of a country and a free people living under a rule of law that is effectually enforced. And I have to say, I disagree with many people who have said that the morale of FBI will go down if this nominee is confirmed. In fact, I believe quite the opposite. I believe they are ready to stand up and fight and get back to work on mission critical cases, and that morale will in fact go up.
Yep.
I have heard that KASH Patel is out for himself. If that is true, he is out for himself as an American, as someone who believes in the promise of this country, of what its agencies have been created to ensure, and that is to protect the people and their rights, the autonomy of our states. And I believe he will bring to bear that passion and enthusiasm and love of country as the FBI director. I have heard one of my colleagues say, "Why would you pick this person?" and quoted all kinds of things that he has said. Indeed, he is passionate in his love and in his demonstration of love for this country. And maybe that is because he has served as a federal prosecutor and a public defender and a chief of staff for the Secretary of Defense and a deputy assistant to the president and senior director for counterterrorism on the National Security Council and as principal deputy to the acting director on national intelligence. Maybe it is through all those roles he has seen what this country has the ability to do to protect its people, and it has seen agencies go down the wrong path. He has said that he thinks that there should be less agents in Washington and more in the field doing their jobs. I think we can all agree with that. And the way he said it might not have been exactly the way we wanted to hear it, but that is what he means. That is what he means. And why pick this person? Because he does have that experience. I've heard questioned his experience. Well, he might not have served in the upper echelons of the FBI, but aren't we asking this agency to set a new course? Don't we want a non-traditional candidate at this moment in time with extensive federal experience? I also heard that it is concerning that those that were at the Capitol on January 6th, and I'm going to quote one of the colleagues who said they were on the loose, and that was concerning. I cannot tell you how many people are on the loose in this country right now that have surged into the country under the last administration. They are prior criminals or indeed have intent to do our country harm. They are on the loose right now because of the last administration. And you have to have an FBI director that is focused and targeted at attention to make sure that those individuals are sought after and rounded up. Indeed, we have DAs, mayors, commissioners, governors that don't care about the rule of law and have allowed crime to explode. So you have to have an FBI director that will fill that gap. You have to have an FBI director that understands that one of their missions is transnational criminal organizations and that the FBI has indeed the jurisdiction to go after those folks. You used the word and the description skunk at a picnic, that is how whistleblowers are treated. To some extent, when these new leaders get into these agencies and they're coming in with an objective view, a fresh perspective, wanting to do right by this country, it may be there are people in those agencies that need to scatter, that need to leave. If they have lost focus of the mission of the agency, if they have lost focus on who they are serving, this country and its people. They do need to go. And any director or any head of agency that we confirm as a Senate needs to go into those positions with that in mind. And I believe that is why KASH Patel will be confirmed by the Senate.
I'm just trying to see, are you encouraging me to talk longer? Because that's never happened in this committee before. I will try to go as quickly as possible. And just say that this is one of the more perplexing nominees for me personally. I've seen the pendulum swing back and forth in this committee now.
You must be scared
over
then.
11 years. I've seen my colleagues on the other side of the aisle rightfully take up a politically charged tweet about a nominee, whether it's for the bench or for significant offices like this one. As have we. I've seen back and forth, but I've just never seen something like this for a candidate, and I'm surprised that there's not more people who are calling some of this out in the most objective way possible.
Are scared.
I do not understand how we're moving forward
Obama
at this point.
2.0.
It seems like we are. It seems like it's a fait accompli, because I was just told the vote is coming. But I just want to go through some of the things that, to me, are sort of stunning that we are dealing with. First and foremost, this idea of FBI employees, these incredible agents that we all respect, that were involved in a lawful investigation of criminal violations of federal law, or that federal law that was protecting us and our national security, that these folks are being targeted. And we know that is happening. I asked Mr. Patel if he knew of any plans to punish or retaliate against FBI agents and employees who worked on cases that President Trump didn't like. He claimed he didn't
like.
But he should not be really believed.
About
not only
persecuting Americans.
This is the history of lying that we've seen, but
You have
because
a
the
history of
facts
lying, Hakeem.
that we've been presented as a committee suggest
Come on,
different.
Spartacus, tell
The
the
timing
truth.
of the FBI purges,
scared.
moments after the hearing we had, to me seems like an obvious implication upon this nominee. Ranking Member Durbin uncovered compelling evidence that Patel didn't just know about the FBI's plans to fire agents who were doing their job as directed, but that Patel not only knew about it, but that he directed the purge as an outside citizen. And if that's true, Mr. Patel has perjured himself before this committee, something I believe we would take very seriously. His trustworthiness is evident in his failure to disclose his work on behalf of the Embassy of Qatar to this committee. That is stunning. Work for which he possibly broke the law when he didn't file as a foreign agent. These are entanglements that this committee should take seriously, that we should investigate before moving forward. The financial disclosures we received after our hearing that we did not have a chance to ask him about show that Mr. Patel actually enriched himself by doing work for groups linked to Russia and China, foreign adversaries of our nation. I can't believe I need to say this, that as if it may be a question, but at a bare minimum, our FBI director should not have conflicts of interest with the Chinese Communist Party and Vladimir Putin, and we should have had a chance to ask him about that in open committee. That is just the most basic due diligence. Look, everything Mr. Patel has ever written and said, so much of, what he's written and said demonstrates that he is somebody that goes against the idea of integrity and independence that the FBI wants. He has gone far, as my colleagues have said, posting the most outrageous politically charged things. I'm disbelief that of all the incredible people that could run this agency, that this is somebody that we would pick. But my concerns really have to do about Mr. Patel's testimony before this committee. No one can claim surprise when he does exactly what he's promised to do in a lot of these politically charged writings. We have credible evidence that he is already enacting this idea of revenge against FBI agents who Mr. Trump does not like. We have credible evidence that he committed perjury when he told this committee that he wasn't aware of these plans to fire FBI personnel. He later changed his answer when answering the committee's questions for the record. Suddenly he said he went from "I don't know" to "I don't recall" whether he plans to fire FBI personnel. And this was what he was saying over and over again. He does not recall. I don't recall. Not long ago, the fact that he lied about not knowing a white nationalist podcaster when he appeared on his podcast, not one time, not 3 times, not 5 times, but he appeared on his podcast
Stu
8
Peters
times.
is a white
Yet he said he
nationalist?
did not know
Are you
who this
kidding me?
person was or did not remember. This to me,
Well,
is
no,
a
not when you
continuing
describe
pattern
him
that
as
is
a white
disqualifying.
nationalist.
It would be, to me, something all of our colleagues in
Stu
this room would say,
Peters,
hey
give me a
man,
break.
you're not being straight, honest.
You're
with this
not being
committee."
straight or honest
Listen,
with anybody.
lies like this are misleading and dishonest.
Lies like this
especially
are
with an
misleading and
institution that
dishonest.
has a reputation
Redundant
for that kind
much?
of integrity. His refusals to share what he said before the grand jury is another example of, to me, unacceptable.
This is Highland
a
Beach, by the
unacceptable
way.
non-answering.
Very
His
beautiful
case
area.
about handling sensitive national security documents.
Right outside
is a
of
kind
Boca
information
Raton.
FBI directors are responsible for safeguarding. He played a role in that. He spoke before a grand jury. His testimony should be something shared with this committee. And his alarming bad memory about what he testified, to me, is just incredible. When asked whether he discussed with the firing of the assistant director of counterterrorism, he said, "Not that I recall." Did you know that the FBI officials and rank and file agents would be fired before he testified? Not that I recall. Were you aware of the review of FBI personnel who worked on January 6 cases? Not that I recall. Can anyone with a straight face sit here and say that that is an answer? That he is not misleading
Seriously, Laura.
this committee? This is unbelievable if he doesn't recall that. In fact, his inability to recall such information, to me, speaks against his qualifications for a job if he's not recalling things of such importance. This committee should ask for better from any nominee, from a Democrat or Republican president. This is stunning to me.
Exactly, Laura. We are picking Kash Patel.
This person has
Sit down and shut up,
has
Spartacus.
lied, has shown an utter lack of character. and
You have an
straightforwardness of
utter
this
lack of
committee.
character.
It is just
Everything
obvious to me
Spartacus
of all
says
the
is actually
people
about
that This
himself.
president has nominated.
Just think
I
about
voted
it
for
that
many
way,
of them.
and then
This
you'll see
stands
things
apart
differently.
from what this committee should demand from anyone coming before it. I appreciate the desire to defer to a president on their nominees. This is why I have voted for many of Mr. Trump's nominees in this time that he has become elected president. But it is our constitutional duty
this
to
one
ensure that
scares
the
you,
president's
doesn't it?
nominees are fit for public office. This vote should not boil down to partisanship. It should really be about the objective understanding of someone who has performed and testified in this manner should be allowed to ascend without further questioning, further investigation.
Nobody
Some of these
trusts
issues
you,
that I brought up.
Spartacus.
I am very disappointed by this moment. I'm actually stunned by the fact that we are going to have a straight party line vote on someone who is so clearly unqualified for this office, who so clearly misled this committee, who so clearly has many areas of his background that this committee has not thoroughly explored that point to some serious potential for conflicts or worse. But with that, in hopes that I am trying to keep my testimony, my comments under 5 minutes, which I have failed to do, but I am concluding, sir. Mr. Chairman, I am stunned and perplexed.
Oh, Bam. RFK.
At this
Wonderful.
moment that I have been
Thank you,
asked
Bam
to
says
talk for
the
2
vote's
minutes.
currently 34 yes, 26 no. Beautiful. He'll be confirmed.
For the record, the chairman has said that I make a lot of sense. But he disagrees with me. Yeah.
The hell is going on
Mr.
with
Chairman,
these people?
I'm going to cede to you. If you would like to filibuster, you're welcome to. I'm sure that the committee of this committee would allow you to sit here quietly. But if not, I would very much like to hear Lindsey Graham speak on the virtues of the great state of New Jersey. Wow.
New Jersey.
Wow.
My brother-in-law is from New Jersey, and we like him a lot.
That I will take that as a testimony. Thank you, sir.
Oh, I didn't notice, Donna.
And happy birthday to Dick Blumenthal.
You're good, Donna. Dick Blumenthal's birthday. How old is he? 95?
The Senate rules limit
96?
the time for committee meetings, and so I need to call the roll call vote. I will allow anyone who
You're
still
good,
wishes
Donna.
to speak on this nomination to do so after we vote. On the favorably reporting the nomination of KASH Patel to be Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, the clerk will call the roll.
Aye.
Here we go.
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy. Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Schmidt. Mrs. Crick. Mrs. Moody. Mr. Durbin.
No.
Mr. Whitehouse.
No.
Ms. Klobuchar. No. Mr. Booth.
All the criminals are yelling no.
By proxy.
No by proxy.
Mr. Blumenthal.
No. I guess totally.
Ms. Croto. No. Mr. Booker.
No.
Mr. Padilla.
No.
Mr. Welch.
No.
Mr. Schiff.
No.
Chairman Grassley.
Aye.
On this vote, the ayes are 12, the nays are 10.
The vote of 12 to 10, the nomination will be favorably reported to the
Woohoo!
floor. Do you want to speak? Yeah, please do now. And will some, I got to go vote, will some senator on my side stay? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that this country, in this Congress, is in the midst of what has been a slow-moving but rapidly accelerating constitutional crisis. It began most visibly on January 6th of 2021, when the two norms of this republic, the peaceful transfer of power and the renunciation of violence, were breached. Where many members of the House and Senate voted against certifying the election of the person chosen by the American people.
He was not chosen by the American people.
President Trump
You
then,
stole it.
and President
We
Trump
all
today,
know it.
continues to assert that the 2020 election was stolen.
It was.
Stop the steal.
Yeah.
He won the 2024 election.
Because we believe him.
His election was certified.
Bam.
He's entitled, as president, to vigorously use the powers of the presidency to implement the policies that he advocates. He's not entitled to violate the Constitution
He never did
in his
that.
effort to do so.
Liar.
Mr. Chairman, in my view, the beginning of the Trump administration is showing a contempt for the Constitution
Ha! You're
and a
scared.
lawlessness that is dangerous to the future of our republic. Freezing federal spending,
Yes, they are
Clearly
calling themselves that, Laura. They
unconstitutional.
sure are.
shutting down agencies created by Congress with no authority to do so, removing leaders of agencies, including inspector generals, against the clear requirements of law, firing government employees subject who have civil service protections, threatening to deport people based on their political views.
Based on their political
Revoking
views,
by
deporting people
executive
based on their
authority,
political
birthright
views.
citizenship.
Oh, really?
These are just some of the actions that the president has taken where he has no authority to do so.
Wow. You liar.
On Monday, a federal judge said that the White House defied his order to release billions of dollars in federal grants, marking the first time a judge has expressly declared that the Trump administration is disobeying a judicial mandate.
Yeah, a payout would
This
that would be
country
called.
is
A
headed
payout.
into a situation where, in addition to acting without authority, the president is indicating he will defy rulings from the third branch of our government, the judiciary. Vice President Vance has made very clear his point of view on this. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate powers. Of course, under our Constitution, since Marbury versus Madison, the court is the final arbiter of what is constitutional or what is not.
Not when the judges are political activists.
My colleagues, my view of this is that the administration is showing maximum contempt for core constitutional values, including, most importantly, the separation of powers. We have a dilemma here. There are many in this committee that are fully in support of the policies that President Trump is pursuing. That's, of course, your right and his right. But the unique responsibility each of us as a United States Senator has is to guarantee that in pursuit of those policies, it is done within the constitutional boundaries. This is not just to talk about civic aspiration. It's a recognition that the